Hey, hey everybody. Hi, Mike Mad Dog Hobbs here, formerly known as Mike Hobbs. Yeah, I have my name legally changed to Mike Mad Dog Hobbs with the MadDog Mortgage Team coming to you live. It's been a little while since we did a show and we took off for a lot of different reasons, but some changes. I've got an office being built out for our team, and Ivan and Raina are a couple loan officers that work with me, and I work with them. We are the group that makes up the Coeur d'Alene area, and we're waiting for that office to be built out. It should be in our new office there on Sherman Avenue in Coeur d'Alene here very soon. So we're excited about that. Got some purple and green going there. So I'm a home loan officer with Loan Depot. I'm under the Mad Dog Mortgage Team is what I work for and do, and that's my new branding. So I'm bringing that to you, and there's a story for that. And I wanted to introduce, before I go into the story, I wanted to introduce the team to you. And there's a cool story. Some of you listening may have heard that story before, but I want to talk about it again because it's really cool. And it was a nickname given to me, not made up. It was given to me by bandmates many, many years ago in a situation that occurred that was quite scary. And so I want to show you the rest of the team. This is Cupcake. He runs a lot of the loan pricing stuff. He is an avid golfer. He loves to golf, and he takes care of pricing for us. So he's on the Mad Dog Mortgage Team. That is Cupcake. We also, because we believe in being inclusive, we also have Boo, our black cat. Boo is kind of a nocturnal worker. He's on the split shift. He likes to come in and work in the evenings, and he's in customer service. So if you call in, you may get Boo. But again, just being inclusive, we want to make sure that we have our other representation here with Boo Kitty. Just because it's called the Mad Dog Mortgage Team doesn't mean that Boo can't work for us. Mad Dog, I'm a drummer, and the name was given to me a long time ago when I was drumming. There's me drumming at a festival at one point. Here's me also drumming at another event. And the name was given to me by some of my bandmates, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Kelly is here. I know it's a blurry picture. It's the best I could do short notice. I told her I was going to talk about her today because we had a really cool day today. Earlier, we had a huge win, and Kelly was really at the root of that. Without Kelly, the Mad Dog team would be just a mad team, just be mad team, the mad team. And with her, it brings in the whole thing, the full element of the Mad Dog team, which is really and you see in the heading of this, the title of this show, which is the Mad Dog Mortgage Team and the Ethos of Care. And Kelly really does that. She helps me keep that brand promise, that voice, which is an ethos of care, placing others' well-being above my own. And so thank you, Kelly. We had an awesome day today. We solved a real problem. I'll tell you about me getting in trouble a little bit about that. And then there is Shannon. Shannon is also behind the scenes. I don't think it's her parole officer has told her that she should only use silhouettes when she's posting on social media, but I'm going to leave it this way. This is what she said her headshot was, so I'm going with it. But anyway, Shannon is amazing. She's been in business a long time, and she runs stuff in the back end. She's my processor. And so she takes the work that Kelly and I do. When you wonder what goes on, there's a loan officer, a production assistant, which is Kelly, and the two of us work together to take your information as a consumer, as a buyer, and we put all that together and we package it all up, and then it goes into Shannon, and Shannon fine-tunes it and says, hey guys, you're spot on. This is going to fly through underwriting. I don't think we need anything else. And then she presents it to underwriting. So it's that layer between us in the production side, Kelly and myself, and the underwriters. And so Shannon provides that. So that's Shannon. So the Mad Dog Mortgage Team, and I talked about the ethos of care. It's one of my favorite ethics. It comes underneath the feminine ethic category, which is that ethos of care, and that is placing others' well-being above your own. And that's really my why. It's really my passion, what I do. And it occurred to me many years ago when I was given this name. And some people, you notice in my title information, that some people actually give themselves nicknames. Mine's not. And I think there's a greater story usually for those that are given a nickname like Mad Dog for me, because it comes from an event where some circumstances availed themselves where I had to get a little involved. And so here's the story. We're out camping, and it's a number of years ago, and I play in a band, a rock band at the time. I'm a drummer, and in my background is pretty controversial in terms of that. I'm kind of a contrarian. I fight, I fight against what the norm. I don't go with the norm. I don't flow with the flow. I've created businesses around that. I'm always looking for that differential and distinctive competency and what have you, and disruptiveness and things like that. And so I was playing ball with my daughter at a campsite where we had our trailers all, how they line them up like this, and you've got in between them, and there's trailer after trailer after trailer. My hands are disappearing on the screen, I think. Anyway, trailer after trailer. And so I'm throwing at a 90-degree angle to being able to look down between trailers to my daughter. My wife is catching it to my daughter, and she's throwing it back. She was younger at the time. And all of a sudden, this horrific sound comes out between these two trailers that they were adjacent to and across from, again, that I couldn't see down between. And this horrific dogfight, the kind that's just painful and scary and loud. There's a dog being murdered, killed. And that's what it sounds like. And so I instinctively go running up there. I round the corner and around the corner to where these two trailers are together. And there's a mother and two kids on one stoop of one of the trailers, and the other trailer across from it is another mom and two little kids, and they're hugging the kids and pulling them back. And there's a tree there in the middle between them, and to the tree is tied a bulldog, their bulldog, I perceive, and it was their bulldog. And there's a dad, I perceive, the dad has one of those metal buckets. We have it camping, the old style. They're kind of gray, but it's a metal bucket. And he's swinging it over the top and hitting the Rottweiler that has a hold of their bulldog and is killing it, just chewing it up. This 115-pound at least Rottweiler, and just chewing it up. So I'm a big dude. I'm 6'3". I'm 225 now. I was probably 245 then. And I'm a big guy. I'm strong, and I'm agile, and I just busted in there, man, instinctively. That ethos of care, really placing others' well-being above my own, really is what that defines. I ran past the tree and the dogs fighting and came behind the Rottweiler and grabbed it by its back legs and hurled it out between the two trailers, and it tumbled down the hill. And I ran to the edge of the trailers to block it from coming back in between them, back to the bulldog, because it was coming back up the hill after I hurled it. When I grabbed its legs to pull it off, of course, it let go of the bulldog, right? I was pulling its leg and lifting it up, and it turned around to get me, and I hurled it. Adrenaline was super high. I was super pumped. Wasn't even thinking. It just happened like that. It was reaction time. And it started to come back up the hill, and it was coming up, and it was trying to get by me to get to the dog because it had size on the dog. And I jumped in front of it this way, and I jumped in front of it that way. And then I came back to the middle, and it started to come again. And I punched it on the top of its head as hard as I could. Boom. And that's when its eyes came up on me. Now it growled and it focused on me. I instinctively dropped down and just gave it this deep guttural growl. My face was like this right now. For those that can't see it, it's pretty scary. I mean, it's really scary. You don't want to see it. Those that can see it, turn away. If you're under 10, you might not want to look. But I dropped down and just gave it this huge guttural growl. That wasn't very good, but it was much bigger and badder than that. And it took off. So I punched it, gave the guttural growl, put out my arms, made myself huge, got down low, right in its face, and it took off. I chased after it, followed it to a campsite where it belonged to, got the sheriff, got him in, threw them out. Happily, luckily, there was a vet in the campsite. Got the vet over to the bulldog, and the bulldog survived. It was torn up pretty good, nothing major, but it had a ton of puncture holes in it. And the veterinarian was able to take care of it. So adrenaline pumped, immediate, didn't think about my well-being. It's a big dog. And I just grabbed it and just threw it because that was the thing to do. At that moment, it took something, not just tried it. And the guy was hitting it with the bucket, wasn't working. So I just instinctively did it. So that's where I got the name MadDog, because my bandmates were there. And by that time, they'd come around, a couple of them come around. We were all outside. It was a beautiful day. And so they come around and they saw this. And so I got the nickname MadDog from that, and it stuck with me. So it occurred to me that my why in mortgage lending and real estate and all the things I've done, even the legal stuff with the law firm that I started many years ago with Antoinette Lewin Law, all those things were built on consumer advocacy radio that I did from Mortgage Madness radio program from way back in the day, from decades ago. All those things were based on wanting to help the little guy. And the start of these things was usually a start from someone being taken advantage of. The law firm, the Mortgage Madness radio show, the things that I've done, the Rebel Realtors radio that I did, and even the Telly Award that I won, where we put together a movie that dispelled myths in mortgage banking, was all done from a position of an ethos of care, placing others' well-being above my own. So as I'm thinking about this and rebranding and talking about it, it occurred to me that that's a perfect description for my why. Why do I do what I do? Not what I do or how I do it, whatever. I'm a loan officer. I do loans in my sleep. We're the #2 mortgage banker in the country, Loan Depot. You can see it right here. It's backwards, maybe. I don't know if it's forward. You can read it on the screen, but Loan Depot, and they're huge, and we do all sorts of things, and we're an amazing company. And I say that after 38 years in the business, owning one of the largest mortgage companies in the country myself many years ago. I can say, and working for a lot of great people, I can say that we have the best group. We have the best team, not just the MadDog team with Shannon and Kelly and Cupcake and Boo, but we have some of the greatest people working for us. And that is manifest in what happened today. I mentioned earlier in the show here that something really cool happened today. Well, that cool thing happened with me being the mad dog that I am and crashing in. I feel like I don't need an underwriter to tell me we can approve a loan. I feel like I have enough experience and time reading seller servicer guidelines and looking through them. Actually, when they were in binders, they aren't anymore. That dates me, right? And knowing that I can overcome objections. And when it comes down to a controversial guidelines, remember, are just suggestions, really. And I'm being a little facetious, but they are not laws or rules, they're guidelines. And so there's a border in which and a margin in which we can operate in those. Well, sometimes there's interpretations that lead us a little more narrow margins, and some companies won't take the risk. Loan Depot, because of its size, we're able to remove some of those overlays and be able to do things that other mortgage companies won't do. But nonetheless, we ran into a little bit of a problem and a difference of an opinion in a guideline. And so I was demonstrative and mad doggish in my delivery, and I got in trouble for it. Manager called me. I love her. Hi, Brandy. And she's not mad at me anymore. But I got in trouble for actually pushing the envelope and asserting myself in that position of decision making. But again, it was wrong. I prevailed. It took a little time. It prevailed, and I backed off. And Kelly brought it home because I stepped on some toes. But you know what? I don't care, because at the end of the day, I don't mean anything personal by it. The ethos of care says, forget about me. Forget about whether I get in trouble. Forget about all that stuff. What's in it for you as the consumer? How you can find a loan officer. And let's tie it up. Where are you going to find a loan officer that's going to do things that nobody else can do? Where are you going to find a loan officer that's going to put themselves in a position of authority when they really don't own it? I don't have that responsibility, that permission. I don't have that fiduciary from the higher ups and the brain trust at Loan Depot. I'm the lowly loan officer like everybody else. Oh, no, I'm really not. But that's what's really where I'm supposed to fit. So I got in trouble for that. But that was for the betterment, placing others, my borrowers, in a better position. I put myself in jeopardy. I protected my clients. We got that loan done when nobody else would do that. Nobody. And I'm not just saying me. I'm saying from the property to the financing structure to all of it, to the interpretation of guidelines, extremely complex. Do I love that stuff? Yeah. Does it take a lot out of me? Yeah. I gotta rest after the show. I think I'm gonna take a nap. But this was a great win, and it's what we do at the MadDog Mortgage Team. It's because we fight for you. We are dogged, yet approachable. We are focused, yet responsive, and we're also experienced, but we're innovative. And I think that sets us apart. It's where I say that we provide benefits all home loan officers should, but don't. And those are not just manifest in better pricing and better programs, or I should say, not just like better, but just more expansive programs. We've got a lot of things we can do, and we can look at things. And you have not just like, hey, take it or leave it, one size fits all. We have the opportunity to really sit down and think about how we can make this work. We're looking for a way to make your loan close rather than a way to turn you away. Now, if you're perfect and you've got everything great and your income's here and your money's there and you just fit your 5x5 and everything's perfect on the shelf, that's great too. But we can also be competitive there and help you. So again, those benefits that you get are manifest in a guy this week too, where I had to do something that nobody else in the country will do. They won't. I know they won't. I started a law firm over. I did it since 92. I fought the banks like the very one I work for against servicing mistakes. And so here's a guy coming in last week, $2.7 million purchase. And you can tell intuitively after doing this so long, $2.7 million purchase with 900 or almost $1 million down. And he's an older guy. And you know that he's been around. He owns multiple properties. And so he's been around. And so I'm expecting to see 700 plus FICO scores, right? High sevens, mid sevens, minimum, high sevens. Everything's gonna be great. Get the application. Boom. They're in the 600, mid 600s. What blows my mind? Because that doesn't fit the demographic, the perception of this individual coming in. Turns out there are 2 lates on his credit report in July and August with a closed second on one of his properties. So it's textbook iconic example of a clerical error in servicing. I've seen them hundreds of times, if not thousands of times over the decades that I've done what they call trouble debt resolution work, TDR work, or loss made work. And I see this when they close out the account and they continue to think they're going to get checks, mortgage payments from it, but they've closed the account out and it's paid off and it just doesn't register right, or they register it incorrectly and show him as late. So I recognize that, but he didn't know anything about it. Of course, my economy goes, what? No way. So I got on the phone 2.5 hours with him, soul sucking, painful time talking to the servicer and then a manager who, when I pushed the envelope with the underling that was on the phone with me there and pushed the envelope, the manager came in hot because they do that. And I told him, be prepared. I'm dogged. I'm that guy. I'm pushy, very tenacious. But I'm specific, and I'm also respectful, but I'm also very specific, fighting for my client. And this was clearly an error. So we fixed it. Long story short, everything worked out. We fixed it, and we got him to where his credit's intact. We still have to do the update in the credit, but we have the proof now that it was done in error. But again, I recognize that. And I knew how to resolve it. No other loan officer in the country is going to jump on the phone for 2.5 hours and fight servicing protocols to change something that's been memorialized in the tri-merge bureaus, the 3 credit reporting bureaus. Nobody else will. So again, that's a benefit that you get with the MadDog Mortgage Team. So I suggest that you really take a look and think about your loan officer when you're picking one, and make sure that they have the ability to go the extra mile, not just count numbers, not count to 10 or 100, and certainly not just talk about rates, but where's that relational experience? Not just the transactional stuff, not the one size fits all. I get leads, by the way, too, and they call up, and when I answer the phone, they turn it over to me, and they've been called by everybody and their brother. And I get them and I go, hi, it's Mike Hobbs. And they go, yeah, hey, what's up? I go, oh man, hey, listen, I know we called you and I just got a life transfer in, and you sound like you're beat down. Everybody's calling you. They're beating you down. And they go, yeah. And I said, let's stop that. I'm not that guy. So I swing it to a relational, not, hey, how much do you want to borrow? Hey, where do you want to buy? How much money do you make? What are your debts? That's a tertiary. Let's get to know one another and figure out if there's a fit. And you can realize what that ethos is that I have, and see if there's a need for you to have that. So again, dogged yet approachable, focused yet responsive, and experienced yet innovative really defines me and my team, the MadDog Mortgage Team. And one last thing I'll say, and we're going to sign off. And I hope you continue to tune in to Mortgage Madness with the MadDog Mortgage Team. Every week we're going to do this, start doing this again on Wednesdays. We're going to have all sorts of cool topics and things like that. We'll have something else next week for you that's relevant and helps out. But I would say that one of the things too is I had a loan go through this week that was my clients lost out on it to all cash. And I talked to the listing agent, and they had a cash offer. They had ours with 20% down on I don't know what it was, 700,000 or 800,000, maybe, I don't remember. But long story short is that they chose the cash offer because cash is king. Well, I really don't think so. And again, maybe this is just my mentality with being a mad dog and being a contrarian. I don't think so. And you know what? We proved it right, because about 5 days later, they fell out. And my clients got back in position and bought the house with 20% down. So just because it's cash, and just because you're going, hey, we don't have to have an appraisal. Well, guess what? In some parts of the country, the appraisals now are behind the value of the home. We went up the ladder and we came back down the other side. And so what the appraisers are looking at is behind them, and those values are still cresting and higher. They haven't come down. So when you're looking at the valuations of homes in specific areas, in our area was Coeur d'Alene, Idaho right now, that I lend in two other states, in Washington and California, but you'll find that it's unlikely, unless you're really pushing the envelope in some way, and the seller is, or I should say the listing agent, but you're going to find that appraisal is likely going to come in, unless you're really taking advantage in some other way. But it's going to come in. And so the appraisal issue related to cash is better because we don't have to do an appraisal, pardon me, isn't necessarily true right now. That's not necessarily true. So again, this agent, thinking that cash is king, made that decision. So it's interesting. We have an empirical evidence right now with a file that was taken as cash is king when you had a loan approval from me. And again, my background's 38 years in doing this, so my resume is prolific in all things mortgage, legal, and real estate. And so when you have me as your loan officer, you actually have these benefits that you just can't get anywhere else. And I love what I do. I love placing your needs above my own. I love winning. I love being able to, turn the opinions of the other side. I call listing agents all the time. So again, think about that. Make sure you're choosing your loan officer predicated upon not just the numbers, but based on their experience and their ability, and also their passion. And ask them what their why is. What's your why? My why is manifest in that ethos of care. I love seeing people get what they want, not the math, not the math, the number, the payment. It's the why. What does that why do? Well, that gives them this emotional, tangible benefit of home ownership, in community involvement and community belonging, and legacy for the kids and all those kind of things. That's the why. That's the passion. It's not the money. It's not the numbers. It's not, those types of things. Solving problems is fun. I love that too. But really the why is really being able to take someone from a position where they didn't think they're going to own this home, and they are, where they didn't think, like the one that we saw today, like where Marcus is his name, and he didn't think that was going to come through. And to be honest, I didn't either. I was actually getting ready to go to mortgage jail because I got in trouble with management. So, hey, but I'm a mad dog, so who cares? Anyway, able to, well, I can't leave buildings, but I certainly can throw Rottweilers for you if you need to. So, Mike Hobbs, this is the Mortgage Madness Show. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll be back next week at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and we'll have something else that's really cool and something different, something unique that applies to you that you can use and take forward if you're looking at buying or selling a mortgage, what have you. You can ask me all sorts of questions too on buying and selling homes and stuff like that. I coach real estate agents, and I do a lot of different things. So you'll find out more about me as we go along. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day and have a great weekend coming up. And I will see you next week. Mike Hobbs, the MadDog Mortgage Team at Loan Depot. Thank you. Bye-bye.